What's up, guys? Welcome to Daily Dose of Reddit. This is your host, Zach, and today's subreddit is r/StoriesAboutKevin. This story's called Kevin is a Master of Alcohol Consumption, Volume 3. Well, more people ask me for a third episode about the deeds of my Kevin. Part 1, Kevin is a master of politics. Part 2, Kevin is a master of day-to-day life. Some of these stories happened without me being present, or I just can't remember them, mostly because of too much alcohol. A bit of context. My Kevin is a good friend of mine, and I've known him since 9th grade, so for about 12 years now. He is working as an accountant, but is not really educated or intelligent, and literally his only talents are climbing and skiing and maybe annihilating every single drop of alcohol around him and smoking like a chimney. He is one of the only guys of our common friends who didn't study and was one of those too cool for school guys, and this often shows in his ignorance, lack of empathy, and stubbornness. First, some short ones. He forgets sometimes what he is doing in one moment and flips to something completely different within a second. I played Dota with him and he had to go to the bathroom, so he paused the game and he never came back. Later, I learned he had just received a message while taking a piss from another friend asking if he wants to crack open some cold ones and just forgot he was in a calling session with me midst a round of Dota and went to the other friend. He didn't turn off the TV, his PC, or fan. He just left everything on and left. On a trip to Czech, we were at a local paintball field. Gotcha Field South. Worth a recommendation. At one point, his gun didn't work properly, so he decided to take a look into the gun barrel and shot himself in the face, nearly blinding himself. On the same evening, we ate at a restaurant where I had a Kevin moment myself, but Kevin was utterly confused by our waitress. Since the paintball field is near the German-Czech border, she spoke German, but for some reason, Kevin was convinced she spoke Czech, and a friend literally had to translate for him. She was somewhat confused since she probably thought we played some kind of lame prank on her. My Kevin moment. Later, strippers came to the club and one of the girls tried to pull me up on the stage, but since I am really shy and I was completely overwhelmed with the situation and tried to get off the stage, she asked me if everything was alright and I just replied, "I'm gay." I'm not, but I hope she would let me go. Well, it didn't work, and instead of getting a public lap dance from a female, I got a lap dance from her male colleague. He owned a huge swimming pool you need to inflate. Towards the end of the summer, it got a bit cold, but he still wanted to chill in the pool, so he thought about options to heat the water up. His solution? A fire ton. In theory, a nice idea, but he didn't put anything between the plastic floor of the pool and the bottom of the barrel. So the thin pool floor melted and the thing was no more. He got into a fight with a lamp while drunk and smashed the whole thing to pieces. Friends that were present that night couldn't tell me why he started to scream at the lamp and just thought, classical Kevin, making a little joke, until he started to punch the thing and became really angry. When we asked him about it, he had no memory of it. Kevin loves to buy concert tickets, but hates to go to the concerts. Some friends and I really like punk rock, while Kevin hates it and is more of a techno fan. But every time we buy tickets for some punk concert, he wants to go there too. But on the day of the event, he never shows up. It is a common question to ask, do I need to buy a ticket or did Kevin already buy one? He made himself a sandwich while getting a cigarette ready. Those two actions utterly confused him and he placed a cigarette in the sandwich and then searched for it. After not finding it, he took a bite from the sandwich, noticed something tasted weird, spat the sandwich and half a cigarette out. He is the only person I know that repeatedly lights the cigarette filter even in a sober state. He lost his wallet, huge amounts of money, credit cards, his glasses, and smartphones numerous times. I think he had to reorder or lock his cards about 2 to 3 times a year, and often buys every second month a new smartphone because he lost the old one. This habit of losing things is so usual for him that he just orders new stuff without searching for the old stuff. He just assumes he lost it and doesn't bother anymore, sometimes finding those items a few days later by pure coincidence. One time he lost his smartphone and wallet last night. Just made a call to his bank. The bankers greeted him with his first name and just asked, "Oh, Kevin, the same as usual?" and ordered a new phone. He found both his wallet and phone 1 hour later in the pockets of the pants he had worn last night. And a bigger story to round things up. When we graduated, the whole class went to a party week to Lloret de Mar in Spain without any teachers, so we were predetermined to exaggerate. Now, there is a lot to unpack since the whole week was just one giant train wreck, so I will try to restrain myself here and not write a novel about this. So, first of all, Kevin got a really nasty sunburn the first day we arrived within the first few hours. Our hotel had a pool on the rooftop, and Kevin, exhausted from the 20-hour-long bus trip, went up there and fell asleep. For the rest of the week, he was red as a lobster and his nipples were actually black. So he was always carrying around sunscreen, smearing himself with it every 5 minutes, making him look really slimy and greasy. Once we sat at the hotel bar talking to some girls, he just removed his t-shirt, started rubbing himself with the sunscreen, asking the girls if they want to apply some cream on him. Both declined in disgust, and he proceeded to call them both floozies, and guess those two bimbos just wanted to be screwed by some Spanish guys with paella penises. Coincidentally, one of our friends later slept with one of the girls, and both are still in a relationship. And whenever Kevin meets both of them, someone brings this story up. She actually gifted Kevin a bottle of sunscreen once. On another night, we were clubbing, most of us dancing, and since I and Kevin are not really fond of clubs, we spent most of the nights at the bar and talked to some girls. After a while, Kevin disappeared and never came back, leaving me alone with the girls. I was not really complaining about the situation until another friend ran into the club, shaking me and yelling at me that Kevin was outside the club dying. We rushed outside and Kevin was puking all over some park benches. We brought him back to the hotel. He clearly drank too much and sobered him up, mocking him about his weak performance that night. He explained to us that the girls I and Kevin had talked to were actually to blame. He was convinced both of them were really into him and his sunscreen, and therefore drugged him to make him willing. A really wild and untrue theory since both of them were pretty hot and were kind of grossed out by Kevin with his freaking sunscreen. We also went playing paintball and Kevin shot himself in the face, just like a few years back. And on the last day, he thought he should show the local police what he thinks of them, and showed some officers his penis and exclaimed, "Sucky, sucky!" He got smacked by a baton multiple times since the Mosas officers tend to be rather violent. Wow, so Kevin is obviously an individual that knows how to navigate life very gracefully. What? Alright, this story's called Kevin, the Paladin That Doomed the World. This is a story one of my friends gave me permission to share. I'm not a tabletop RPG player, so I may get some things wrong. Anyway, my friend dungeon mastered a game with 4 other players. Dave, the orcish barbarian, a very chill guy. Sylvia, an elven druid who'd abused the wild shape, but took it well when it backfired. Rolf McBeardsley, a dwarven warlock who was a functional alcoholic. And Kevin, the lawful good stupid human paladin of Pelor. Later, you'll meet Snatcher, the tiefling rogue. So as my friend told me, I shall now tell you. Pull up a seat by the hearth and share a cup of the dwarf's fire wine and revel in the screwery about to unfold. So the basic plot of the story was that there was some really ridiculously bad wizard who was seeking an artifact of endless doom to raise an unkillable army of the dead. The party knew this. They'd fought his minions, even met him a few times as he taunted them and temporarily turned Dave the Barbarian into a chicken talking for the hell of it. Even after, whenever Dave was about to swear, his lines would become things like,
"I'm gonna kick him in the barack."
Now, Kevin loved to go on about how honorable and just he was, but if he ever saw anyone, NPC or player, commit even the most basic of crimes, like picking up a fallen copper coin,
Thief! Thief! Repent, mother lover!
and tried to have the perpetrator arrested, which leads us to how he earned his new title. Now, the group are several sessions in and have reached a great big city. They know the really ridiculously bad wizard is here, and they know he's located his precious artifact of endless doom. After a few days of in-game digging, they find out where the artifact is hidden. Now, my friend has added a new player, and since no one but the new guy wanted to be stealthy and clanking around in full plate armor and chanting to your god isn't exactly inconspicuous, that's how we met Snatcher. Since no one knew exactly how to stop the really ridiculously bad wizard should he succeed in harnessing the arcane powers of the artifact of endless doom, the party concluded the best thing to do would be to steal it, then either destroy it, or if that provided undoable, seal it forever in another realm or something. Now, if you're a bunch of smart cookies, you'll remember how Kevin reacts whenever a crime is committed. So, the party begged and pleaded with him until he promised not to go off on one of his crusades of justice over this, since it was literally a matter of the end of the world. Finally, Snatcher actually succeeded in securing the artifact of endless doom and rendezvoused with the rest of the team, 2 streets over from the really ridiculously bad wizard's really ridiculously evil house. When prompted by Kevin, Snatcher handed over the artifact. However, instead of using some kind of detect evil or sense aura ability, Kevin proceeded to lash out with his maul at Snatcher, called him a heretic, and dashed straight for the house that Snatcher had robbed with his consent. Knocking on the door, Kevin is greeted by, surprise surprise, the really ridiculously bad wizard. What does our brave, wise, noble Kevin do? Why, he totally gives the artifact of endless doom back, which he insisted on doing even when the rest of the table went off on a "Are you serious right now?" bender. Cue everyone's jaw hitting the floor. So now that Kevin had literally aided the BBEG, my friend had only one recourse: make him realize how badly he done goofed. Thus, instead of the epic final battle, where the party raced through the streets to wherever the really ridiculously bad wizard was performing some catastrophically nightmarish ritual, they got the bad ending. Kevin decided to go to sleep at the inn. While he was dreaming about smiting sinners in Pelor's great name, Sylvia, Dave, Ralph, and Snatcher were looking at any way they could to re-steal the artifact. However, this time it was too well guarded. So now that he knew the heroes were in the city, the really ridiculously bad wizard sped up his plans and used the artifact of endless doom to raise an unkillable army of the undead. As my friend put it when Kevin finally woke up, as you open your eyes, you can hear screams and metal crashing on metal. The smell of rot, burning, and blood fill the air, and the light streaming in through your bedroom window is a ghastly red hue. When you rush to look, the sight that greets you is enough to chill you to the marrow. Outside, the streets, so recently filled with cheerful merchants, smiling townspeople, and playing children, now run thick with blood. Countless skeletons and zombified ghouls are locked in combat with the city guards and militiamen. Ever undead that gets thrown down simply shrugs off the blows and regains its feet. For every guard that citizen that falls, gasping their last breaths, a new horror takes their place as the bodies of the fallen reanimate and turn on those they loved and were sworn to defend. For the rest of your life, as you languish, chained in the darkest depths of the new Dark Lord's oubliette, you curse your fate as the paladin who doomed the world. Cue much frustrated sulking from Kevin, who couldn't understand why the great adventures of Kevin ended on such a sour note. Afterwards, my friend spoke to Ralph, Snatcher, Dave, and Sylvia's players and apologized, but they all agreed with his decision. They started a new game, this time Kevin free. So yeah, this ends the tale of Kevin. If there are more stories my friend is willing to let me share, I'll probably post them here. Thanks for reading. Man, that sounds so cool. However, those poor people, to have an ending screwed up that bad, because while I've never played D&D, it's something I definitely would be very into doing. I do know that campaigns can take a long ass time to get to the ending, so to have it ruined just like that, so close to the good ending, wow, I would be pretty pissed off. This story is called My Mom's Friend Kavina. My mom was friends with a Kavina. Still are, but only over Facebook since they've moved far away. She did a lot of Kavina things, like killing work computers with copper sulfate solution, because it's blue just like the glass cleaner I use at home. And she poured some into the computer through the vents as well, because if it's so dusty on the outside, then surely the inside also needs cleaning. But today's story is something that still makes me laugh a little whenever I remember it. Kavina and her husband were visiting us one day for lunch. For some reason, we were all talking about the cost of air travel, and my dad put on his serious face and asked if they knew that it takes 90 minutes to fly from Johannesburg maybe, to Cape Town, but 1.5 hours to fly back. We groaned at his dad joke, but she immediately asked if it was true. He confirmed it, and then she began thinking out loud about why the travel time was different. We were watching her, gobsmacked, when she said maybe it's because the plane flies downhill going there and uphill coming back. Johannesburg is at a higher elevation. Or maybe the fuel down there is different. Or maybe the pilot is tired after flying down and takes it easy coming back. Her husband tries to interrupt, but she told him she wanted to work it out by herself. 2 days later, she called my mom and told her she just realized that it was a joke. Okay, first of all, you can't really blame her, alright? There's a lot going on with flights and stuff that maybe normal people don't realize. Because, in case you don't know, a trip going somewhere and coming back can be different depending on, wind speeds and their directions, all that jazz. But again, I don't know how much of a difference that can make. Probably everything. Then again, it probably could make little difference because modern technology, but I doubt that because I feel like planes are still very much dependent on wind currents and all that stuff. So yeah, that's still funny though.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to never miss an episode.